All right, I'm here to tell you with the draft, we're going to talk about a ton of stuff with the Chargers. Chris just talked about a trade back scenario and all that kind of stuff. I'm here to tell you it's easy. Don't overthink it. Go out, make the right decision. And I will absolutely tell you what that is, and we'll back it up with different articles. And honestly, we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into a player because it's time to start having fun with the number 5 pick. And I have been dying to talk about this player who, by the way, if he ends up with the Chargers, may become my number 1 player for fantasy football as well. Not that anybody cares about that. But before we get into that, let's just do a couple things here. Let's talk about a couple things. This is not our first channel. It all started with Sports Talk Detroit 2.5 years ago. And then we realized we just love the NFL, so we started Sports Talk Extra. If you like the NFL and other teams, please feel free to check that out. And then Harbaugh got hired by the Chargers. And we're like, okay, now we are following this man to the West Coast, and we are going to live vicariously through him in the beautiful weather that is happening. We are from Michigan, but it is beautiful watching the powder blue Chargers. And can I just say, of all the channels that we've had, which is not, it's 3, right? But like, this fan base has been the quickest to welcome us in. So thank you so much. If you have yet to subscribe, please do that. And let me say this before we roll as well. If you're seeing this on Saturday, happy Easter weekend. If you're seeing it on Sunday, he is risen indeed. So I needed to say that before I got going. But let's just talk about this. The Chargers draft decision is easy, thanks to this recent Super Bowl team. And who is that recent Super Bowl team? It is the Cincinnati Bengals. Not the Bungles, the Bengals. All right? The Cincinnati Bengals had the 5th overall pick in 2021 draft after Joe Burrow's rookie season was cut short due to injury, much like Herbert's season in 2023. At the same time, it seemed like the Bengals could not pass up on the need at tackle and should have selected Penei Sewell. The argument back then was that the Bengals were not one dynamic playmaker away from being a contender. Team should build up the roster. Here's the argument I'm going to make, by the way, just going away from this article. It is easier to find a starting caliber tackle throughout the middle of the first round sometimes than it is to find a game-changing, ridiculous wide receiver. The question you have to ask yourself is that game-changing, ridiculous wide receiver available at number 5? There has been a ton of good wide receivers that have been selected. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes you have to go with the absolute stud. That's what the Bengals did in getting Jamar Chase. All right. Now there is an opportunity for the Chargers to get one of these remarkable wide receivers, just remarkable wide receivers at number 5. So let's look at who they are, but I'm going to go I'm not going to go in reverse, but I'm going to go through one quickly. Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think he's going to be there. We've talked in the past about how we have a chance. All right. I don't love how he's handled this pre-draft process necessarily, not showing up for an interview at the combine with the media, not working out, not only at the combine, but also not working out at his pro day. I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense, right? But still, his potential fits are the New England Patriots, the Arizona Cardinals, and any of the other 30 teams. Yes, because there's nothing the guy can't do. It almost feels like he's a 50-50 shot for the Hall of Fame before he's ever played a snap of NFL football, because he comes from greatness and he understands it. All right, this article puts Rome Odunze as the number 2 wide receiver. All right, some receivers just catch the ball. Simple as that. He's 6'3". He's 213 pounds. All right, he is a good player. He's not going to run away from people like some of the other players, or the other player that I'm going to talk about on this list and spend a lot of time talking about, but he is still a very good player. All right. He was successful on 88.9% of his charted contested catch targets. He did not drop a single pass in games that Harmon charted either. That's insane. So if you go number 5 and you end up getting Rome Odunze, go for it. I have no problem with it. And nobody should be upset. But there's another player. And I have been more convinced about this now than I was before after seeing his pro day and after seeing what his RAS was. All right. So for my money, he said Neighbors is the third best receiver in the class. All right. He gives a slight edge to Odunze. But at the same time, he said it's easy to understand the string of logic that gets someone to crown Neighbors as the best wide receiver in the class. In fact, as he should, Neighbors said the same thing about himself. He said, for me, everybody says receiver 1, receiver 2, receiver 3. I'm always the one that I would say I'm the best. We all got that chip on our shoulder that we the best. The main thing I came out here to set the record straight. I am the best. He went on further to say, all right, that I'm a dog. You can guard me. And anywhere I'm at, defense can't stop me. No matter if they double me, I had enthusiasm because I hear a lot of people. I hear a lot of shade. So it was basically saying, stop playing with me. I'm really like this. All right. He is good. He has that dog in him that you kind of need as a wide receiver. Odunze, by the way, has a phenomenal work ethic. But one thing that Odunze, and it's still good, and I'll pull it up as well, but is just the ridiculous athlete that I think people don't realize both of these guys are. All right. So when you look at Malik Neighbors, he is the 38th most, how do I want to say this, athletic wide receiver to ever test. That's out of almost 3,200 wide receivers. You wanted him to go out there and run sub 4.4. He did that. You wanted him to go out there and be quick in the short and intermediate speed. He did that. You wanted him to show that he had a good vertical and a good broad jump. He did that. All right. He can't do anything about his size. Can't do anything about his size. All right. But his size is absolutely good enough. It's absolutely good enough. Meanwhile, you compare it to Rome Odunze, and you wanted him to run a 4.440. He kind of did that. All right. His short burst speed wasn't quite as good as what you wanted. His broad jump, maybe not as good. Not that that matters necessarily. It's just kind of an explosion marker. His vertical was great. His size is fantastic. All right. So he gets the size side. And so both of them end up being, he was 96. They're top 100 athletes at the wide receiver position in history. That's just the way it is. Like, that's not bad. I don't have any problem with that. I mean, good for him. Good for him. Good for both of them. They both have absolute skills, and that's why the Chargers are sitting here at 5. And I think you can do a couple of different things, but like, why not draft an elite wide receiver? I get it. And if they go with Alt from Notre Dame, totally fine. Totally fine. I'm not going to be upset. I'm just not, right? But they have the opportunity to pair a strong-armed quarterback with an elite athlete. Now, there's other waves of thinking that they can get those elite wide receivers even later in the draft, and I understand that. You want to trade back and get 2 picks, get a tackle and a wide receiver, do it, right? Like, have fun, go for it. But Herbert is a quarterback that has had very arguably the strongest arm in the NFL since he's been here without a receiver that's a burner. Give him one. Give him one. Mike Williams is a great deep threat. I understand that. Give him a guy who can separate, and let's see what happens. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Again, like, subscribe if you haven't already. Happy Easter. See you on the next one.